Hi everyone, it's Monique at Butterbee Scraps again, back with another tutorial. After I posted my charm tutorial, somebody had asked if they can use the same supplies to make stick pins. Absolutely you can, and actually you don't need quite as many supplies to make stick pins. Now I know there's a lot of stick pin tutorials out there, so I'm just going to make this one fairly quick and also share with you some additional ideas for creating unique stick pins. So basic materials you need are beads, and again, like with the charms, I recommend glass beads or the Swarovski crystals or stone or shell beads. Do recommend, again, staying away from the plastic. Also need some findings. I use spacer beads. These here are 5mm diameter daisy spacer beads, and I have here some 3mm diameter metal beads, but you can use crimp beads. You can also get different diameters of the daisy spacers. Bead caps are always fun to use as well. So anyway, you're going to need some findings. Also going to need corsage pins, and actually there is a wide variety of stick pins available in all different shapes and sizes. Here these have round heads. You can see they're in two different lengths. This here actually I got in a rack, and I have no idea where you get them that long, but anyways, I've seen these at Walmart. I've seen them at Michael's. You can always go to flower shops and ask for corsage pins. I've also seen them, I think, Wild Orchid Crafts. Anyway, I'll show you. There's some with round heads. You can get them with teardrops. You can get little gems on the end, clear gems. These two here are from Maya Road. And yeah, so there's a wide variety of corsage pins available. And I'm actually going to show you how to make some stick pins without needing corsage pins in a minute. Okay, so a couple other things you're going to need to make stick pins is glossy accents. I always use glossy accents. I see a lot of people use a hot glue gun to make stick pins. I highly recommend not doing that. It's very, very difficult to make neat charms and hide the glue when you're using hot glue. Not only that, hot glue doesn't last very long. I've been in a few charm swaps, and inevitably I'll get some charms made with glue, and they're already falling apart. It just doesn't adhere to the metal pin very well. So glossy accents is a must, and I know there's other good adhesives for metal as well. So my choice of adhesive is glossy accents. The other thing you're going to need is a piece of styrofoam. This is just a round styrofoam ball we use for one of my son's projects at school, and I cut the bottom off. But I know just after Christmas, I'm sure a lot of people have received gifts that have tons of styrofoam packaging in it. So just cut that up, put a square on your desk. Anyways, okay, so let's get started. First, I'm not sure if I said this in the charm video or not, but I always like to separate my beads using the metal findings. I just think that they look so much dressier and prettier. And here I'm going to show you exactly, you'll see the difference. So I've got these three beads. Very pretty stick pin, but when you add all these little metal spacers, it really separates and accents all the beads. So to me, the difference is well worth adding all these little metal elements. So on this particular pin, what I've done is I've got a cap bead that I put upside down, and I like this one. I like using this one for stick pins because when you look at the end, it kind of looks like a little flower. So I've just alternated metal spacer with beads, and actually I went from a 4mm to 5 to 6mm daisy spacer bead as the beads get larger. And all you have to do is, once you have these threaded on, just glue the last bead on. What I do is I hold my pin upside down. I hope you can see this. And I just add a little drop of glossy accents on there, and I push the bead right over top. You know what, if it's a little bit messy, Glossy Accents dries so clear and thin that it's okay. Now when I've got a cap bead on the end, I put a little bit of Glossy Accents just on the back of this bottom bead. Drop it on top. And now I know this is what people use hot glue for, is because Glossy Accents takes a while to dry, but you know what? That's what I use my styrofoam ball for. I just push my stick pin in as far as I can, set it aside, let it dry. I don't have to worry about holding on to it or anything like that. So, quick tip there when using Glossy Accents. Now, I had what I think is a good idea in terms of, what if you don't have corsage pins and you've just spent all this money buying supplies for making charms because Monique said this stuff is so great. Okay. 20 gauge wire. I would not use anything thinner than this because this is soft artistic wire. And remember the P-loop from the second tutorial video for my charm? That's all you have to do. Create a little P-loop, and what I do is I measure my wire to be about 3.5 inches long. Then I create my loop, put my beads on, and actually I'll show you here. I've done one for you. Put my beads on, and then you can cut this to length. And what I do is I take my flush cutters and I use them backwards so that the flush end is towards the end you want to cut off. So then you'll end up with a sharp point that you can use to stick the pin in. It's not nearly as sharp as a standard stick pin, but that's okay. So anyway, here's one. You can see I used a stone bead here. So that's one. But, okay, if you're bored of the loops, also I should note, you can use a wrap loop here as well. If you're bored of just a plain old loop, I want to show you something a little bit different. So I'm going to measure my wire to be about 3.5 inches or so. Like with the charms, I'm going to use my nylon gel pliers to straighten it out. And at the square end, I'm going to start by making a P-loop. So again, grab the wire right at the end, push from the base of the wire, wrap it all the way around. Going to have to make an adjustment there as usual. Push it so that that square end of the wire is touching the tail. And mine's a little bit offset, so I just flatten it with the nylon gel pliers. Now here's what I'm going to do, something a little bit different. So what I'm doing is I'm putting this loop on one end of the round nose pliers and rotating it. See, I can rotate it too far, and then close your round nose pliers. So what this does, we're going to create a figure 8 at the top of this one. So what this does is it places your wire at the right level, so both your loops are going to be the same diameter. Also make sure. Okay, so now what I do is I start wrapping. I wrap this one this way, so I'm going to start wrapping in the opposite direction to create a figure 8 here. Now what I'm going to, big mistake. Actually, not too bad. I can pull that off. I was worried that maybe I wouldn't be able to loosen my round nose pliers. Maybe that wasn't such a great idea. Anyway, so what I do is I just rotate this around, and then I continue wrapping this wire until it's straight down. Oops, I went too far. Sorry, again, I'm looking at this horizontally, so it's hard for me to kind of gauge what's going on there. Flatten it out. Now you have this cool little figure 8 at the end of your stick pin. And show you this particular stick pin that I made using the figure 8. So I thought that was kind of neat too. So now I'd like to show you a few different variations on stick pins, some ideas to make unique stick pins. And some of these I've actually received in swaps. This is one, and I thought this was a really neat idea to take fabric flowers, small fabric flowers, and layer them on the end. And then you see they glued a bead cap on the underside, and it kind of makes those petals cup around the end of the bead here. Also notice that the color of this bead is yellow, and I think what they probably did is they used white head, and you can use alcohol inks, or some people use their Copic markers to color the end of the stick pin. So that's one idea. This idea I thought was really cool. They added these flowers to the ends of the beads, and what they did here is they took one of these crimp pieces. Here, I'll hold this with my pliers so you can see a little bit better. And what they did was they layered some feathers in there and crimped the ends, and then they were able to put the stick pin through the hole here, and they just bent it up at an angle until they were in a position that they liked. So I thought that was a really cool idea. And I'm sorry, I wish I knew who gave me this stick pin so I could give them credit for that idea. Here I'm going to show you some stick pins that I made in another swap, and you may have seen this. But I like this idea too, of adding a chain, and you can add like a little dangle with a couple beads, or I got this mini key from 7 Gypsies that I added onto this one. And all you have to do is take a length of chain, put a jump ring on the end, and thread that jump ring onto the stick pin. So anyway, there's lots of additional ideas for creating stick pins. I hope it was informative and helpful. If anybody has any questions, just leave me a comment and I will answer your questions for you. Thanks, and bye for now.